The Biden administration is warning states to be vigilant against cyber attacks targeting the country's water systems, citing ongoing threats from the hackers who are associated with the governments of Iran and China. Joining us right now is Adam Isles. He's the head of cybersecurity practice at the Chertoff Group. Adam, when I read about this warning coming from the Biden administration, my first thought was, what? Why don't we know more about this? What, as consumers, do we need to worry about? How would we know if there was an attack coming? Does it mean you need to worry about your tap water?
Well, look, let's talk about why we care about this. I mean, water is the most lifeline critical infrastructure sectors, and we think about this for three reasons, right? We worry about an interruption of availability. That can happen. It can happen in natural disasters, et cetera. What we're worried about is a precisely timed attack that would interrupt the availability of it, in the context of, some conflict. There's also a psychological impact, that you really led with, where, some of these attacks could occur really to foment fear, uncertainty into the communities.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have seen Leave the World Behind. It's the Julia Roberts film on Netflix, I guess, that lays out some of these concerns if a lot of these systems were attacked, our critical infrastructure systems, and we didn't know that and we lost communications type of things. How big of a risk is this? How likely of a risk is this? And what are the government and companies doing to make sure that this is not something that is carried out?
Well, we've been worried about, attempts certainly in other parts of the world to compromise water infrastructure for some period of time. I mean, we've seen, going back over a decade, actually, Iran, focused on water systems, not just in Israel, but we've seen probing of dam infrastructure in the United States. More recently, we've seen, in Israel, attacks on water infrastructure. We've seen in Ukraine, there's reporting that says, that the water infrastructure is the fourth most sector that's attacked by Russia and Ukraine, ahead of the State Security Service and the Border Service. And we've seen, to your point, recent reporting around strategic access, if you will, into water systems in the United States.
So, Adam, I guess my point is, how vulnerable are these systems? Are we doing enough to protect ourselves?
We need to do more. They're widely dispersed. We have 50,000 water systems in the United States, and they tend to be amongst the least mature of critical infrastructure sectors. The energy sector, financial services sector has had either regulation or self-regulation in place and funding to go along with it. And I think we need clear measures. We need more funding, and more funding is coming to enable the water sector to better defend itself.
The idea of an attack would be what? That the water would be shut off? Or when you mention potential attacks on dams, that the water would be turned on in a big way?
Well, I think so. There are a couple of scenarios, right? These water systems depend on pumps, and pumps move the water. They also deploy disinfectant into the water to keep it clean. They move wastewater. And so we're worried both about pumps being turned off, and we're worried about pumps being turned on, either to move more water than should be moved, or to deploy more chemicals that should be deployed. We also worry about the management consoles that control all this stuff. And even if the pumps themselves aren't impacted, if the engineer workstations, the human-machine interfaces are turned into bricks, essentially, then you have a loss of control as well.